Good afternoon, I'm Dylan with Tech and Tortillas, and today we're going to take a look at the new Big 12 and compare them to Toby Keith's songs. With all this conference realignment, the Big 12 has a new identity going into the year. And for us to best understand what that identity is, we're going to have to understand what these teams truly are. And I did that in the best way that I know how, by comparing them to one of my favorite artists, Toby Keith's songs. Now, I'll be honest, I had a lot of fun doing this, and it gave me a chance to go through and remember Toby and listen to all of his albums on repeat. But without further ado, here's the Big 12 compared to Toby Keith's songs. Oklahoma State should have been a Cowboy. Now this one seemed obvious, I'm sure, to all of you, right? Oklahoma State, Cowboy, should have been a Cowboy. But I chose it for not the reasons that you probably think. Now, Toby clearly says in the song that he should have been a Cowboy. You know, they have their traditions in Oklahoma State, like shooting their guns, go pokes, all that. But remember, that kind of sounds pretty familiar to somebody maybe over my shoulder, right? Yeah, all that sounds like Xerox U to me, right? So, at the end of the day, they should have been a Cowboy, but that song might as well have been titled Should Have Been a Red Raider for Oklahoma State. Baylor, Wish I Didn't Know Now. Well, I think this was pretty obvious, but for you that don't understand why I chose this, I'll give you a little rundown. This sounds like Art Briles' Baylor to me. You know, they're winning a lot of games every year, competing on a national level, you know, up there every year in the Big 12. But they're hiding bodies in the closet. Yeah, you can bet they're sitting there thinking, I wish I didn't know now what I did know then. Because there was a lot of crimes committed against humanity, allegedly. And once they found out about it, everything definitely went downhill from there. TCU ain't as good as I once was. Well, this ain't the Mountain West anymore, I can tell you that. TCU since 2018 has 7 wins, 5 wins, 6 wins, 5 wins, 13 wins, and 5 wins. And I know most of you are thinking, Dylan, what are you talking about? They just went to the playoffs. Well, as Toby says in the song, I ain't as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was. So yeah, this team always has a chance to, have that puncher's chance and compete and have a good year here and there, but I think it's safe to say bet on them to be an average team more often than not. Colorado, I'm just talking about tonight. Now, I thought this was the perfect song for the relationship between Dion and Colorado. Dion, he ain't looking for anything long term. He ain't talking about hooking up or hanging out. Dion's just talking about tonight. Now, as soon as a power conference team for one of these major programs comes knocking, Dion's going to go running. But hey, Colorado kind of knows what they're getting into, or at least I hope, or it's going to be tough for them. They understand that they're here to get Dion and get that excitement. They have a polarizing coach, help recruiting. They know what they signed up for. As Toby says, it's just two lonely people who might reach a little understanding. They both know what they're going to get out of it. Dion gets the platform of a power conference, and he'll be gone as soon as someone gives him that big offer, like in Alabama or somebody. Texas Tech, you shouldn't kiss me like this. Man, every time I hear this song, I think of Texas Tech because every year I buy in. I'm on the hype train. I try to set realistic expectations and say 7-8 wins, but then I talk myself into a conference championship, making a playoff, even though it may never seem realistic. They get me every time. And I always find myself thinking, you shouldn't kiss me like this unless you mean it like that. But as many times as it happened, guys, like I said, I take the bait. And as Toby says, we'll get lost on this dance floor, spinning around and around and around. It happens every time, guys. And I guarantee you, I'm going to do it again, and I'll be screaming, baby, kiss me again. Utah, I want to talk about me. Now, I'll tell you, I'm tired of this team. They've been in the Big 12 for 5 minutes, and they're already annoying on Twitter, talking about we're overlooked, no one pays attention to us, we're one of the best teams in the country, blah, 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 blah. And then all they talk about is me, me, me. So this was the perfect song for them because all they do is tweet, I want to talk about me, I want to talk about I want to talk about number one, oh my, me, my. That's all this team thinks about is themselves, and they just want to complain. I feel like just to complain at this time. Houston, a little less talk and a lot more action. Now, I think this is perfect for Houston because under Dana, all they did was talk, 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 talk. you would just hear all we need is the platform. We just need to be in a power conference. We're Houston. We're a big city in Texas. Once we get in a power conference, we're going to dominate and be like Texas and Texas A&M. Well, look, you got your platform and now your program's in shambles. It's in a pretty bad state. And now, for some reason, they got Willie Fritz and they think that, hey, we're back. I'm starting to talk again. I'll believe it when I see it, but at this point, it's just a lot of talk with a little action, isn't it? Cincinnati, I love this bar. Cincinnati was along for the ride in this realignment. They probably are pretty fortunate to be in the Big 12. They went 3-9 in their first year in the Big 12. Not the best year, but I guarantee you they're still looking around at all these walls going, I love this bar. It's my kind of place. BYU, you ain't much fun. Now, this one made a lot of sense to me because you ain't much fun since I quit drinking, and you know that they can't drink over there in Provo. I can tell you, I'm already tired of this team too and hearing about their crazy home atmosphere. You can't win over there playing against them, but yeah, that's how it should be. They can't drink and they can't have fun. What are you going to do with all that pent-up energy? You're going to go crazy at the stadiums. You're going to go cheer the team on. It's just what's going to happen when you have all that pent-up energy. They're a nice case study in what happens when you don't give these college kids drinks or fun. West Virginia, country comes to town. Now here's another match made in heaven. You better believe if you're playing West Virginia, you're going to see some overalls. You're going to see a bunch of mountain people. You're going to see some hillbillies. Man, you're going to see a bunch of people chugging some PBRs. It's going to be a good time. Yeah, they can't help themselves over there. Another side note. Every time I hear a beloved Raider, John Denver, I think he's singing about the western part of Virginia, not West Virginia, but I digress. I'm not going to open that can of worms. Kansas State, courtesy of the red, white, and blue. Now, Kansas State, when they're focused on you, it reminds me of that full force of the United States Army. I mean, you don't want to be down the sights of either of these two standing there as their enemy. If they have all their focus, all their attention, and you are the mission, well, good luck. Because the way I think about it, if Kansas State's running down your throat, it'll feel like the whole wide world is raining down on you. And that's brought to you courtesy of the Wildcats from Manhattan, Kansas. Arizona State, Red Solo Cup. Man, we all know the atmosphere at Arizona State. They're one of the best party schools in the nation. So there's nothing that matches them better than a drunk Toby Keith singing to his own Red Solo Cup. Yeah, sure, football might be down right now, but I bet you the atmosphere is still lively. And side note, we don't have to worry about a Kalen Ballage or another running back running all over our Red Raiders for 7 touchdowns in a game. Guns up, I guess. Arizona, get drunk and be somebody. Now, this Arizona team's had quite a roller coaster since 2020. They went 0-5, 1-11, 5-7, and 10-3. So they're on quite an upward trajectory, but I'll tell you what, that 10-3 kind of did come out of nowhere. No one was really expecting that season. Well, as Toby says, they were a bunch of real nobodies. And guess what? They got drunk and they became somebody. This team waited for the weekend, became weekend warriors, and now are showing up. Now, here's the thing. Can they keep it up without their coach? We'll see. We'll find out. UCF, how do you like me now? Let's go back to 2015. UCF just finished a defeated season, 0-12, and the program couldn't have looked like it was in more shambles. What happened since then? Multiple double-digit win seasons, a self-proclaimed national championship that actually has been recognized now. And now the program's in the power conference. I mean, they're sitting there smiling, in a much better spot than they were before. They're also taking a look at the ACC and SEC saying, hey, you didn't want me? Well, got a beautiful campus in a beautiful location with a huge alumni base. How do you like me now? Iowa State, a little too late. Now, I chose this because of Matt Campbell. Matt Campbell, you're a little too late, and all those job offers are a little too gone. Guys, take this as a lesson in strike while the iron's hot. Don't wait. Don't stay in a position for too long and let everyone realize what your weaknesses and your faults are. Because they'll find them. Give enough time, they'll poke at you and figure out what you're not good at. Campbell, you should have just struck while the iron was hot. Kansas. Who's your daddy? Now, Kansas is kind of on the up and up under Lance Leipold. They had a good season last year, and that's 2 straight years where they made it to a bowl game. Kansas is really looking like the real deal finally. Well, I just kind of want to make sure everyone remembers what they truly are. In a 12-year span from 2010 to 2021, this team won 7 Big 12 games. 7 Big 12 games. Don't forget what you are. Just because you're doing good right now, don't forget. Who's your daddy, Kansas? It's the whole Big 12. Texas and Oklahoma, you ain't leaving? Thank God are ya. Good riddance, guys. Go enjoy the SEC. We were tired of it all. We were tired of the complaining, especially about horns down. We were tired about the egos. We were just tired of it all. Now, Texas, you'll do fine. You guys have a great team. You'll compete at the highest level. You should be one of the favorites in the SEC. But Oklahoma, your over-under win total 7.5. Now, you can say you're competing against the best of the best every week. Okay, cool. We'll give that to you, right? But if you're 6-6, none of that matters. You're going to be wishing that you stayed in the Big 12 where you could have had a much better manageable path to make the playoff. But, hey, you ain't leaving? Thank God are you. You can't be gone fast enough. And that's all Big 12 teams compared to Toby Keith's songs. I appreciate you guys watching this. You can read the blog at techandtortillas.com, or you can find it on X at tech_tortillas. And again, we'll do more things like this because I write a lot of blogs that I like comparing things to other things, and I like making lists. So if you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe at tech_tortillas. Again, you can find us across all socials. And guys, as always, thank you for watching. Guns up.